Before we get started, I just want to dedicate this and all the work that comes from here on out to the memory of my grandmothers. I was blessed to have three, and while one has been an ancestor for a while, 2023 took my remaining grandmothers away from me. Their love helped mold me into the person that I am today, and I just frankly would not be who I am without them. They will all be missed. So, I guess in order to tell you about 2023, I really got to tell you about how like 2022 ended. I kind of wanted to go into the new year on a relaxed vibe. So I decided to hit the local big Korean spa. People in Atlanta know which one, probably, right? I dropped a cap because all I really was concerned about on this day was I'm going to go into the spa, I'm going to get a massage, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to be on a completely different wavelength for 2023. And I really didn't know how true that was actually going to be, right? And I got a phone call from my mom that they were taking my grandmother to the hospital. I wasn't there by myself, so I also had to do all of this processing of something that was really emotional on an internal level and try to keep face at some point in the day. That shit sucked. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I mean, when the Georgia Bulldogs won the national championship at midnight that night, it was a great feeling. But and by that time, I had gotten news. My grandmother was gonna be okay. It really just was with regards to the weather and everything. But that didn't end the issue. The issue is, I'm getting older. My elders are getting older, and you know, time is a ticking. So the thoughts didn't end that night when I was safe, right? And how do you control alt delete all the tabs open in your brain to bring you back to somewhere near center in a situation like that? It was rough for me, but I was able to do it. I will say that the only reason I was able to even trying to focus on calming down was because of my journey with like spirituality and also going through therapy. I know what things work for me and I know what things don't work for me at times. So if it wasn't for those two, it would have been a complete. So the question needs to be asked: when things get tough, what do you guys do? I'm an insular person, but I think one of the best things that I could do in this moment of time is really just seek joy in these moments in this year. And you're about to see a collection of me doing exactly that. If you know me, you know that I am a pretty big Harry Potter fan. I love the story, the atmosphere, the universe, not so much the author these days. So when Instagram kept hitting me over the head with ads for a interactive museum, I said, I might want to check this out. So this is a traveling thing. It came into town. It had a bunch of interactive exhibits as well as props from the movies and just Harry Potter things that Harry Potter nerds would nerd out on all the time. This is the Elder Wand right here. You got to see Harry's wardrobe from movies. Hell, this is the cupboard he lived in. And a whole new generation is now traumatized by some of the things we grew up laughing at. But it was a real good thing for the boy that lived. Also, shout out to the High Museum here in Atlanta. The first Friday of every month, they open up the museum after dark so you can come enjoy the exhibits as well as have a drink and listen to some good music with some good people. But consistently, the only place I really ever left home for, other than work, was the gym. I was in there working, especially during the winter, Shout out to the homies. We met up every Saturday. We were working toward a goal, and that was I got an opportunity to go with a group down to Montego Bay. Except some Jamaicans told me not to call it Montego Bay. They told me to call it Galtego Bay. I don't know what that's about, but either or. We're down in a resort. Some of the group kind of was making day trips up and down between Kingston and Montego Bay. I just wanted to chill, bro. Like, nothing on vacation would piss me off more than being busy. Like, let me get some time to walk out on the beach, to let the sea salt in my hair and just vibe, bruh. Cause that's what a vacation is to me. Yeah, you can do shit. Ain't nothing wrong with doing nothing. But can we vibe? Is that okay? Around like day 2 or 3, we decided to get out a little bit, but the whole group did not want to come. So I actually just went out with the ladies on the trip, and we stopped by the side of the highway, started talking to some guys who put us on horses, marched us through the woods as we headed toward the ocean. I hadn't ridden a horse since like kindergarten, but this was pretty cool. My horse did not want to listen to me, so shout out to the guide that kind of kept us chill throughout the whole time. Let us smoke a little something, try to tell me where to go, but I got outvoted by group consensus. But this was a very chill time and one of my favorite parts of the trip. I promise I'm gonna get better at this content thing because you really were supposed to just see the joy on my face as I say, thank God. But you just see my chin. Shout out to this horse. It didn't want to listen to me, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't do shit to get kicked in the head over. We had a driver. His name was Peter. This man was going 80 miles an hour around some curves, but Montego Bay is beautiful as you see here.
You like the vibes, Brandon?
Yes, sir. Peter's obviously a local. He kept us on the right track and away from the tourist spots. Like, instead of going to Dunn River Falls, he told us to go to a place called Blue Hole.
So I'm jumping from right here?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You can jump from up top, anywhere you want to go.
All right. Cool. Let me get my settings. Hold on.
We got to Blue Hole and didn't see not anybody. We thought, man, maybe we got a dub. But when we got in there, it was beautiful. The lagoon was deep. Beautiful place overall, as you see right here. And we ended up beating the morning rush. Shout out to Peter. He got paid, and of course, what we paid him for the day and tips. And he kept bringing us to these tourist spots that I feel like he was getting a kickback from, but that's another story.
How deep is it?
30 feet. No rock. No rock.
So I can flip?
Flip, dive, anything you want.
Editor's note, I did not flip. At least not for this jump. Now, I did eventually flip, but I had to build up the courage for that. The thing about it is not only do you have to swim up, you kind of also have to swim against the current to get to the side. Once you get to the side, then you got to go up this like little rocky staircase over here in order to kind of get back in line to jump again. I'll show y'all a better view of that right here. Yeah, that water's coming down fast, heavy, and in a hurry, and you gotta kind of get yourself back up to the surface and at least get back to that rope over there so you can get off to one side to completely leave or the other to get back in line, like me.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
But y'all see that flip, boy? Come on, nah. Come on. It really felt like being at recess, just in a lagoon, which I've never done, but I can definitely mark that off my bucket list after 23. Nah, I ain't trying to hear nobody's mouth. I was jumping off of the side of the lagoon according to what they wanted me to do. But as you see here, man, I had a great time just chilling like a villain out in Jamaica. Jamaica didn't owe me anything. When I tell y'all, Jamaica was great. I mean, I've been on vacation before, but it was just something about the air in Jamaica, about being able to turn off all the notifications, right? Because they ain't gonna work anyway. You out of the country, and really get an opportunity to lock in on yourself. I could come and go as I please. I can do that at home, but it's different when you don't have the worries or the stresses of home there with you on the vacation. My soul smiled from being able to completely detach from everything and just like live and play unburdened. And then I came home. I got the news early one morning that I lost my paternal grandmother, and it was like a shock to my system. I really couldn't believe it. I didn't truly believe it until I went home for the funeral. And my grandmother had all boys. So my dad, my uncles, just seeing them go through it when normally they don't really emote in that way whatsoever. It was jarring. I'll be very honest with you. Like, what do you do with the emotions and the strength of those emotions when you're not used to playing in that ball field, and when you still have to be something to other people? And that's also something that I've been kind of thinking of and tossing around in my own head. Like, at what point do I get to just be Brandon versus Brandon as Trippz, or Brandon as a brother or son or a cousin or a partner or a coworker? All these different hats that we wear each day, right? At what point do I get to just be me, for me, and trying to like really define that and iron that on out? The only thing I could do for them in that moment in time was to give them what I believe I want in those moments, is like the space and the freedom to just, again, that word unburdened comes back, right? To be, for my father to be just him and not him as my father, and feel like his duty to me as a father is to do something different than what he naturally would want to do in that moment. But then I have my own emotions about it as well, because I'm also fully realizing that this may be one of the last times I'm at this house, and what that means for me and what that means as a part of me getting older. And really, after that, I hit the ground running, literally. At this point in the year, I am in the gym 45 days a week. The writing's popping, trying to get some video content going. The streaming is definitely popping, but still feeling like I could be a little bit more social. So I tried the social run club thing. Wasn't my jam, I'll say that. Those are for real runners, and I kind of just be wanting to walk on the belt line and go from there. But I did find something that was more up my alley. This party called Controllerized. It's for the music lovers. It's for the gamers. They've got Dreamcast set up. They've got fighting tournaments. They've got DJs inside. They got a lo-fi beat battle going on outside. Drinks vibing, anime playing or TV playing. It's just a good time. People dance. I watched a little bit of the game there. It was mad fun and something I would go back to more often. That shit just on Monday night, bro. I know I live in Atlanta and not a lot of people work 9 to 5s, but what about us? One thing I wanted to do a lot for my birthday was do some yoga at the park near my house. That kind of fell through with the weather and everything that was going on at the time. I even got sick at that time, but I came across this, again, Instagram post where they were doing some yoga in the park, and I jumped at the opportunity. Shout out to Breathe with K.
Oh, we were deep in hell right there. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
when we hit
Papa
that
Dog.
on Papa Dog.
Yeah, we was out there.
That was a classic birthday.
Oh, for free?
Shout out to my boys, man. We've been friends for nearly 20 years, and though we may not gather all the time, when we do link, it is a good time. That is the reason we decided, even right here for my boy Nick's birthday, we going to New Orleans for Essence Fest. Look, man, no hands. So we hopped in the Tesla and drove from Atlanta to New Orleans. It actually was not a bad trip, bruh. We just had to stop to charge every once in a while. And then when we got to New Orleans, we had to hurry up because it was the hip hop 50th anniversary at Essence. So shout out to Dougie Fresh, man. Being raised off of tracks like this and then getting to see Dougie Fresh perform, bruh. Come on, dog. Greatest generation. After Dougie Fresh, we got some Janelle Monáe out there. Really enjoyed her album and her performance. She did a really good job. And she had the pleasure of getting everybody in their seats that was waiting for Lauryn Hill to get on stage and performing in front of them before they got tired. Because let me tell you, it was like an hour between Janelle Monáe getting off the stage and Lauryn Hill getting on the stage. And then, you know, Lauryn Hill don't perform like the songs the way you heard them 20 years ago, so it just takes some getting used to. And then we got the Fugees, so got to hear Fugees track. I know they're going on tour. I don't know how that's gonna work with Praz, but yeah, Essence Fest, the actual programs and concerts was dope. I had a good time with that and wanted to keep the vibe going into the next day and the next day and the next day. So we had a little Airbnb action not too far from downtown, where we just posted up. Love those long houses in Louisiana. As you see, liquor, water, Gatorade, and good vibes was the name of the game while we were in New Orleans. So we did hit Bourbon Street, but you gotta expand outside of Bourbon Street if you really want to have a good time in New Orleans. And so we went to a day party on this day put on by Essence Fest. Is it a brunch day party? Just a day party. Hosted by Lance Gross, like that matter. Not Lance Gross. I confuse him and Lance Bass from NSYNC. Yeah. I'm like, why would he be hosting a party at Essence Fest? Alright, that's what it is. The day party was lit. This was early on in the day. We met some people, had a good time. Actually ended up meeting some ladies from Atlanta. But I had fun at the party. I know we were out there fresh as hell. Shout out to Nick for holding it down. Shout out to Steve for being the social butterfly that he is. And you know me, I'm just trying to have a good time. I just, hey, I'm here, whatever. So later on that night, we ended up going to Drago's and having some char-grilled oysters. They were delicious. Definitely hit the casino and won a little bit of money. Make sure y'all get y'all gambling strategies together before y'all go to New Orleans. Shout out to them. They had this whole wall of like sports stuff there. And then we went to Bourbon Street yet again. And it's not like I have like this hate for Bourbon Street. It's beautiful. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on off of Bourbon Street, a lot of restaurants, hotels. We end up getting seafood on our last night out there. And this is the line in front of some of those famous restaurants. This your boy. Definitely had to snap a shot. And then right after dark, Bourbon Street turns into this, where we line dancing outside in a group. And yeah, that's Bourbon Street. Goes from one vibe to the next, and then it can go to another one, which you really don't want it to ever hit just as quickly. Bars everywhere, drunk people everywhere, high people everywhere, people trying to hustle up a buck everywhere, and then you have your people who are down and out. But it's a lot of different things that go on Bourbon Street. I just would say, you know, mark it off your bucket list and then find something else to do in the town. I mean, I'm talking all this shit, but I probably was somebody's entertainment my damn self as I was out here in a short romper set on the street. New Orleans is a city that very rarely ever owes me anything when I leave there. There's just so many beautiful people who are there locally or come for an event like Essence Fest. There's always a good time to be had with your friends. And then if you keep your head on the swivel, there's always a good time to get the hell out of Dodge before something crazy happens. You can kind of feel it in the air when something does happen. As much as I enjoyed traveling with my friends, I had to book my next trip just for me. I went to Dreamcon in Austin, and it was my first official con, to be for real with y'all. Last year, I did go to DreamHack. That was cool, but I was local, so it was a little bit different than traveling in like everyone else. And it was awesome to see just so much blackness, and everybody was black and having a great time at Dreamcon. I ain't gonna lie, when I walked in, it was like the intro from Players Ball was playing in my head. Man, look, a black nerd heaven. Nothing but them blacks, cosplayers, everybody. And really, it was just a great time. There was a lot of people who are into the same things that I'm into, just here to link, fellowship, and meet some of their favorite creators, which I'm not even gonna front. Even I got to meet some of my favorite creators. Look at them, they were having like a little dance battle over here. Wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble. In anime cosplay. Come on, dog. Where else you gonna get that? I mean, come on now. Look at your boy excited to get that badge. So excited I ended up taking my shirt off in the club. But the next day we were fresh and ready to go. We got to go see Geechee's Geechee Bee. Shout out to Geechee, shout out to Chell, shout out to K Dot and everybody that participated. Saw Chelsea on this panel. And then was the Bay Brigade battle. This is one of my favorite things in streaming. And so to see it live and get to experience it with everybody that was there, this was one of my highlights of the entire conference, y'all. I mean, if the look on my face don't say it all, I was shocked. I was aghast. Nah, man, but shout out to them RDC boys, man. It's hard as hell to put on an event, let alone an event of this size and caliber, and it go down pretty much without incident that I heard of. There were panels, there were vendor alleys, there were parties, and anywhere I can go and eat as much in and out as possible, you already know I'm gonna have a good time. Not to mention, Austin just seems like a fun city. I have to give a special shout out to Breezy, to Rick Raction, and the homies for showing me some love, because I definitely was out there by myself after a while, but they adopted me and made sure I wasn't alone. But by the end of it, I was tired, old, washed, and I didn't know it then, but I had the vid, so your boy was tired, and I had to go home, recollect myself, and try again another time. When the homies hit me and said that, hey, let's go to this 50 Cent show, I was like, bruh, it's 2023. Who trying to go to a 50 Cent show? But the fact that this tour was called like the Final Lap, and the fact that my recent history with concerts and seeing an artist come into Atlanta and be like, I'll catch them next time, and ended up not being able to catch them again, I jumped on this one. I never got to see Mac Miller alive. I never got to see Nipsey alive. And I regret those things. So I figured, hey, let's go to the 50 Cent show and see if we have a good time. Shout out to Kelsey, shout out to Nick. We had an amazing time at the 50 Cent show. It was probably one of the best concerts I've been to. 50 really held that shit down. A lot more than you would think he would have, but it was a really good show. And that started off fall for me, which was a really good season until a certain point. My mom and sister came up for my sister's birthday. We hung out that weekend and went to a sip and paint, which they had a really good time at. We all painted the same picture, but I have no qualms in saying my mama had the best picture. This was mine, and you know I had to put a little flavor on the back of that. Shout out to my homie T.O., one of my closest friends from undergrad, celebrated her birthday. Then at the end of the month, it was my mom's birthday, and I went back home to Augusta, and we went to a detective murder mystery party, which was pretty cool. I had never seen anything like that before. Your boy won the murder mystery dinner. I mean, there was about 50 people there, and the captain was the one who solved the crime. What can I say? You know, when your mama watch true crime shows, documentaries, all the CSI type shit every day. You pick up a couple things here and there. But it was a great time. Again, just doing things, unburdened, trying new things, experimenting out here, and seeing what you like. I feel like that's been a major theme for me this year, and it will continue even into the fall. Went and got some ink therapy with everything going on this year. Getting some tattoos really gave me a lot of perspective, as well as just hanging out with my friends, man. Shout out to my old roomie for coming through. Shout out to Sharita, her family, for inviting me to her birthday, where she cooked for everybody. We had a good time just showing her. Shout out to her, man. Sweetness. But as always, it was that gym that centered me, man. Getting underneath that iron and having something to lift. This was a PR for me. I'm not gonna lie. It don't look like I'm at depth, y'all, but we got low. Let's not take it there. We got low. It might not have been this one because this is my last rep, but we definitely hit 300 on the squats this year. I've been looking forward to this Vegas trip all year to go see Usher. Legends only. That's kind of where we at. But literally as soon as I touched down, I got the news that I did not want to get all year. And so that kind of muddled the entire trip for me. Could you imagine that? I'm at probably one of the most coveted shows there is. And my mind is elsewhere, thinking about my family. Because at this point, unfortunately, my grandmother transitioned after being with us for the entire year. And even though I had all year to wrestle with this, it still was not enough time. So I want to shout out to the loved ones for holding me down in this period and keeping my head on straight. Getting the call about the woman who named you, the woman who held you in your arms, straightened your shirt up, the woman who had to yell at you for you to get things a couple times, but who was patient with you no matter what, and who, when you got older and you didn't need that, was just as sweet to you as she was to the kids that came after you and who did need that. And I got to see it front row. My grandmama loved me, and that's something I would never put into question. We talked about it. She showed me with her actions. She showed me with her patience, not only for me, but for everybody. It's rough. I'm still dealing with it every day. And there will probably not be a day I don't think about her in some way. And then when you deal with that and you hold that, it makes everything else easier. It did for me, at least going into it. Knowing I didn't have to go through it alone. I'm a private individual. So I do want to some degree, not have everybody in my business, but the people that I did share with were very comforting. The people that are my support system, they held it down from their perspective. But again, just like I was speaking about my father and his brothers, like, when do I get to just be and not be in regards to anyone else? So, my first reaction was, let me go into a room with no one around so I can just let it out. Because there's not going to be another moment where someone's not checking for me or trying to dutifully help me in some way. So, like, I can just be. And then that helped with balancing that with just everything that came after, It's rough. It's an ongoing thing. So I know how I'm dealing with it. I encourage my family to deal with it in the best way that they can, because everybody's different. One size does not ever fit all. And what works for one person may not work for the next or the next few. It just worked for that one person. And it'll work for another person who is like that. But you got to understand that even when you are trying to provide support in some way, that you got to give it in the way that the person who needs it wants it versus the way that you want to give it. And then you got to give them the space to navigate where they feel, how they feel, and where you can come in and fit in and help take some of that burden. So yeah, the rest of the year was just, let's get through 2023. But one of the things that kept me grounded was community. Can't do none of this shit alone, even when I want to. But as I learn to let others in to take some of the burden off me, knowing that I still, if what I need is that alone time, and to get through things, I have to give myself that in some regard. And people got to respect that. So yeah, 2023, rough, but I'm looking forward to 2024. I know that sounds naive, but just taking a little bit of what I learned last year and keeping a curious heart. Want to try things, want to see things, want to do new things, and hell, I might pick up a few things here or there. Right now, like, biggest things for me is like I want to get into trading card games. I want to do like D&D, on one hand. I want to do like mixed martial arts on the other hand. I want to take more trips. I want to see more things, both alone and with people. And if anything, want to chase that feeling of love that I spoke of from my grandmothers. Not in people, but just like, it when you feel it, and vibrations when you feel it. So like, I want to do something and feel that loving embrace as I'm doing it, and knowing, yeah, this is something for me. It might not be for anybody else, but this is something for me. And so that's what this year is about. That's what we're gonna do. And I hope you'll join me for that a little bit. Once again, my name is Captain Trippz, B, if you will. And I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.